If you've been watching the Chinese tech scene at all lately, it's just been, well, it's been loud.
Right. So loud. You've got these instant retail giants in a knockdown, drag-out fight over who can deliver your groceries in 10 minutes versus 5.
And then there's the AI pivot. I mean, every single company, it seems, is screaming about their new AI model. It's just chaos.
Yeah, and in all that noise, one of the biggest players, Pinduoduo, the dark horse that's been so aggressive with Temu and Duoduo Maikai, they've been weirdly quiet.
Unusually quiet, almost silent on the home front. But our sources, well, they're telling a different story. They show that while everyone was distracted, Pinduoduo was running a very, very quiet internal test.
A new business they're calling the billion supermarket.
Exactly. So today, our mission is to unpack that. What is this stealthy shift? What is this billion supermarket? And why on earth is Pinduoduo trying to get into this incredibly crowded, cash-burning sector?
And maybe most importantly, what does it tell us about the new efficiency war they're about to jump into?
And just to set the stage for you, we're not talking about niche products here. This is all about the high-frequency daily stuff.
Right. Fruits, vegetables, snacks, drinks.
And essential things like mother and baby products. This is Pinduoduo making a very quiet play for the most regular part of your shopping cart.
Okay, so let's dig into the model itself, because it is just classic Pinduoduo. They didn't do some big, flashy launch.
No press release, no big new app.
Nothing. They built it right onto the backbone of their most successful weapon, the billion subsidy system.
Which is their superpower, really. That's the engine that they use to conquer, low frequency but high value goods like phones, electronics, cosmetics.
Exactly. They poured billions into those low price coupons, drove incredible volume, and basically reshaped how people bought those things.
And now they're just porting that exact logic over limited time, limited quantity coupons and these massive subsidies, but for your weekly groceries.
It's a direct copy-paste of a model they know works.
But what's so fascinating to me is how they buried it. I mean, it is deliberately hard to find.
Oh, absolutely. There's no big, shiny button on the homepage like you'd see on Meituan or JD. Every major service they have gets prime real estate.
Not this one. You have to go digging deep inside the existing billion subsidy channel to even find it.
So you already have to be a deal hunter, someone who's already using their subsidy system, to even have a chance of stumbling upon this little billion supermarket icon.
So why? Why the stealth? What are our sources saying about why they're keeping it so low-key?
Well, it seems to be two things. First, you avoid a full-on war. They don't want Alibaba and Meituan to immediately see this and start pouring money into counter subsidies.
They're trying to fly under the radar.
Right. And second, it's a very controlled experiment. They're testing a really fundamental question. Is the low price mindset strong enough to beat the convenience mindset when it comes to groceries?
That is a huge gamble because when I'm buying a new phone, I'll wait a week to save $100. But when I need milk for my coffee this morning,
speed wins. Every time.
So they're seeing if that price-driven retention, as they call it, can actually work for stuff you buy every other day.
It's all about achieving what they call full scenario coverage.
Yeah.
If you're already buying your clothes and electronics there, and now they get you to buy your groceries, you basically never leave the app. Your stickiness just goes through the roof.
And speaking of controlled tests, we have a very specific date from the source. The service was temporarily shut down on January 11th at midnight for an activity upgrade.
With no set date for reopening, which just screams that they're tweaking things. This isn't a finished product. It's a lab experiment.
And we also know this isn't even their first try. They apparently ran another brief internal test way back in 2025.
So this has been on their minds for a while, and strategically, the experts we're looking at see this as a defensive move, really. It's about reinforcing their existing strengths in fast-moving consumer goods.
Especially in those lower-tier markets where they are dominant.
Exactly. If they can cement the idea that Pinduoduo is the absolute cheapest place for essentials, it helps them build a wall against Taobao Flash Sale and Meituan, who are trying to poach those very same users.
So it's an exploratory defense, basically, just disguised as a new feature.
Yeah, and if we zoom out a bit,
yeah,
this move, it's not happening in a vacuum. Pinduoduo is stepping into a market that is, it's completely saturated.
The whole e-commerce industry has shifted into what the sources call stock competition.
Okay, let's break that down because it sounds a little dense. Stock competition. What does that actually mean for a company like Pinduoduo?
In the old days, right, it was all about growth. Finding new users who had never used e-commerce before.
That well is pretty much dry now. Stock competition means the game has changed. You're not finding new players anymore. You're fighting your rivals to steal their existing players.
It's a zero-sum game.
And that makes getting new traffic incredibly expensive. Every new user you gain costs exponentially more than the last one did.
So if new traffic is that expensive, you have to find a powerful way to keep bringing your existing users back over and over again. You need a reliable traffic inlet.
And what's the best traffic inlet there is?
Groceries, supermarket categories.
Things you buy multiple times a week. If Pinduoduo can own that transaction, they own a piece of your weekly attention. But here's the catch. The battlefield isn't just about price anymore. It's now this intense efficiency war.
And what are the fronts in this efficiency war? It's not just about being the cheapest.
Not anymore. Now it's fought on 3 fronts at once. Your end-to-end supply chain, the raw speed of your fulfillment and delivery, and the service quality that glues it all together.
Which means Pinduoduo's old playbook of just be cheaper might not be enough. They have to compete on infrastructure now.
Which makes their history with instant delivery really interesting, because there are those rumors back in 2025, right? That Duoduo Maikai was dipping its toes into instant delivery.
Yeah, their community group buying arm, which was and is a huge success.
But those were just experiments. They didn't last long. The moment Meituan Select kind of retreated from that space, Pinduoduo just doubled down on what it does best.
Right. Duoduo Maikai focused on gobbling up all the market share that was left on the table, instead of jumping into a new instant delivery war that JD and Meituan were already fighting.
But the sources are hinting that strategy might be shifting.
Yeah.
I mean, Pinduoduo is notoriously tight-lipped, but there are some strong, unverified but strong rumors that they are gearing up for a real instant retail launch.
Yes, and the key detail in that rumor is about the warehouses. They're supposedly setting up city center pre-positioning warehouses.
And that's a crucial difference. These are not the giant out-of-the-way suburban warehouses they use for group buying. These are smaller, faster hubs planted right in the middle of big cities. Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen.
They're built for speed, for hyperlocal fulfillment.
And the timeline being whispered about is aggressive. A potential launch in Q1 or Q3 at the latest. Now, it's all unconfirmed, but it shows they know they have an efficiency gap and they're plotting how to close it.
And they're going to have to, because whether they stick to the subsidy model or go full instant delivery, they're facing absolute giants who've been perfecting this for years.
Let's start with Alibaba. They're going all in. They came out and basically declared that for 2026, they are going to achieve the absolute first position in instant retail with Taobao flash sale.
It's not just about competing, it's about total domination.
And they're backing it up with serious operational muscle. Tmall Supermarket is integrating deeply with their logistics arm, Cainiao. By the end of this month, Cainiao is launching or expanding flash sale warehouses all over the country.
And what does that actually mean for me, the user?
It means speed. This system lets Tmall Supermarket hit a 4-hour delivery time in 31 major cities, all through the Taobao flash sale app.
So 4 hours, that's the new minimum benchmark Pinduoduo has to beat.
At least. But with Alibaba, it's a 2-pronged attack. You can't forget Freshippo or Hema. Their whole model, online, offline, instant delivery, is the gold standard.
Their growth has been insane. Over 40% revenue growth in 2025, serving over 100 million people.
And they are everywhere now. Their integration with the Taobao flash sale system was a huge success. Hema's daily orders jumped over 70% after they did that. It just proves that this war is about seamless integration.
Okay, then you have Meituan. They already own a huge slice of your day through food delivery.
And their weapon here is Jiaxiang Supermarket. It's reportedly their most used service right after their core delivery business.
And their strategy is really layered. They have these 3 components, right?
Exactly. You've got the super fast pre-positioning warehouses, then you have their dedicated Jiaxiang offline stores, and finally the Little Happy Monkey convenience stores. It's a very sophisticated fulfillment network.
That offline piece seems critical. They opened their first physical Jiaxiang supermarket store late last year.
And that's a game changer. It lets them manage fresh inventory better, cuts down on last-mile costs, and it builds trust. You can see the quality of the goods.
And finally, you have JD.com, the old guard.
With JD's Supermarket, yeah. Their advantage is just maturity and scale. They have this unparalleled self-operated logistics network that they've been building for over a decade.
And their goal is just more. They want to go from 300 million to 500 million users in 3 years. They have the deep, heavy infrastructure that Pinduoduo is only just starting to think about building.
So when you stack all that up, the 4-hour delivery, the physical stores, these massive networks, you really see why Pinduoduo's quiet little test is so risky.
The challenges just jump out at you. I mean, first, the visibility thing. By hiding Billy's supermarket inside another channel, you can't build a habit.
Right. People don't think, I need groceries, let me open Pinduoduo.
They open Meituan for that. They open JD for electronics. They open Pinduoduo for a cheap deal on something random. Forcing that mental shift is incredibly hard.
That's a huge hurdle. But the bigger problem, the one that could be fatal long-term, is that efficiency deficit. The market demands speed and sophistication now. Alibaba, JD, Meituan. They have it. Pinduoduo has to deliver that speed without killing its one core identity, being the absolute cheapest.
But how can a subsidy beat Hema's physical stores? I mean, isn't the whole point here that price isn't enough anymore? If I save 5 RMB on my groceries, but I have to wait 3 days, I'm just going to go to Meituan.
And that is the central conflict. You're exactly right. Pinduoduo cannot win this war if the only definition of efficiency is 30-minute delivery in a downtown business district. They just can't.
So what's their angle?
They bring 2 massive unique assets to the fight that kind of change the rules of the game.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, just their extreme, almost fanatical ability to control costs. Nobody in China, maybe in the world, can consistently beat Pinduoduo on price. That's their bedrock.
And second?
Their base.
Yeah.
Their massive, rock-solid foundation in the lower-tier markets. This down-market user base that is fiercely loyal to their price-first model.
And you have to mention their operational ability. The Iron Army.
The Iron Army, yes. This is that battle-hardened team and supply chain they built during the community group buying wars. That's how Duoduo Maikai beat Meituan Select back in 2022.
So that experience is their secret weapon.
It is. The Iron Army didn't win because they had the fastest delivery scooters. They won because they were ruthless and brilliant at supply chain optimization. They went straight to the source, to the farm, to the factory. They cut out every single middleman.
So their path to efficiency might not be trying to copy JD's expensive warehouse system. It might be to use their sourcing skills to just bypass the traditional model entirely.
Precisely. The real question for Pinduoduo is this. How do they use that cost control and that Iron Army sourcing skill to create a different kind of efficiency, a non-price efficiency gain?
Something that makes me choose them even if it isn't a 4-hour delivery.
Right. Maybe it's produce that's way fresher because it came straight from the farm yesterday, or maybe it's better inventory management that leads to sustained lower prices over the long run, not just a one-off coupon.
So it's about making the cost of the goods so low, making the whole process so lean that they can afford to spend a little more on delivery and still come out as the cheapest option overall. It's a really delicate balancing act.
And this deep dive really shows us that this whole supermarket retail space, it's not a simple game anymore. It's not just about who's cheaper today. It's this whole revolution driven by online, offline integration and just radical supply chain improvement.
The giants are dug in deep, and the benchmarks for efficiency are just incredibly high. Pinduoduo is dipping a toe in the water with this stealthy subsidy model, but whether they can actually bring something new to the table. That's probably the biggest question in Chinese e-commerce right now.
Pinduoduo's Iron Army. It has proven it can work miracles by optimizing the supply chain from the source. So they're going to survive this pivot. They have to find a way to make that capability mean something to a regular consumer, something beyond just a lower price tag.
Yeah, we're not just talking about trying to match JD's last mile speed. The question Pinduoduo has to answer is, what specific efficiency game that isn't just price can actually reshape your habits? Is it a guarantee of freshness that nobody else can match because of their sourcing? The company that figures out how to deliver supreme value at the source, not just a discount at the door, that's the one to watch.